Hello everyone. I am Madhur Rathore, and along with me I have my co-host Nidhi Chilla, and I welcome you all to another episode of our interview series. Today we have our guest Mehak Kalra ma'am.
Ms. Mehak Kalra is a partner at Innov Legal, advocates and solicitor. She has years of working experience in criminal corporate litigation. She is currently handling Pan India litigation. She had been an external member for internal complaints committee of various companies. We are grateful to Ms. Mehak Kalra for being with us. To begin with, Mr. Madhu Rathod, my co-host, will be asking the question from you, ma'am.
Yeah, I would love to answer the questions.
Ma'am, my first question to you will be: you are a first generation
Yeah.
young lawyer. How would you describe your journey so far?
As far as my journey is concerned, it has been quite great, I would say, because the moment when I joined a firm, one of a reputed firm, as a paralegal, and with my immense hard work and my interest in the technology as well as in the field, I was given an opportunity right away to become an associate, and right after that, senior associate. And within not even 2 years, I was made a partner in that firm. I did work there for like say about like 5 years, and then eventually I decided to set up something of my own. So now I'm running a firm with one of my partners. It's a partnership firm by the name Enoblegum, as already mentioned by Nidhi just a while ago. It is basically a full service law firm which focuses on each and every field of law. Yes, our specialization is basically on criminal law, but we tend to take all the matters and which are there at the pan India litigation level. As well as apart from that, I am one of the external members for the internal complaints committee, which has now been amended to internal committee for sexual harassment issues at workplace for various top notch clients. Furthermore, if I add on to keep on saying, I can say a lot about my journey so far. It has been immense, great pressure because apart from the pressure, there had been a lot of opportunities that have been given to me all this while. Because the law, which I was not even aware of or which I had not even a specialization on, was randomly I would say thrown upon me by my seniors, asking me to that you have to do it and you have to go with it and you have to work on it. But leaving that aside, I used to work on my problems, on my specializations, on my things, considering that I know that somehow or the other I will definitely find my route. And there have been certain subjects which are not even taught at our school level that were given to me, and I feel that I was very honestly and with my dedication I was able to pass all that through. And now I can say, and that's the reason of setting up this full service law firm with all the subjects of field of law. And definitely I can say with my career and with my dedication, I can definitely help my co-colleagues as well as the others in this.
That's really nice to hear this from you.
Yeah, it was a very inspiring journey, ma'am. My next
Thank you so
question would
much.
be: students in law schools are more inclined towards getting good grades. So, what's
Correct.
your take on it? Or do grades
Uh,
really matter in the long run?
See, okay. I would like to take you a step ahead of the law grades. I would say that because I myself was the university topper. So I would definitely not say ki that grades doesn't matter to you, because definitely whatever you are studying and whatever efforts you are putting on your working or studying in the colleges. Myself was the first bencher. I've never bunked any of the classes. I used to attend all the lectures till the afternoon. In fact, whenever we feel like bunking any classes, we used to tell our teachers, ki, okay, no, ma'am, you do not take a class because we do not want to miss it. So if I take a step ahead from the grades, definitely I don't know about others. Okay, if it has helped me because of my grades. I used to study. I used to get into the depth of that subject. and it has definitely helped me out in my practical experience. Reason being, I would say that the theory which we study in school law and the practical has a lot of difference, no doubt about it. But I would not say that my grades, my theory, my subject line, my understanding of the subjects during my school line has definitely helped me out. If you would look at ki, okay, with the grades, we can go ahead, but definitely before grades, we only get grades when we know about the subject. So grades definitely help you a lot. But okay, there is another point of view to that. I would say that okay, the moment you enter the practical field, or the moment you enter any litigation or you join any senior, they are definitely not gonna look at your grades. Definitely, it would be an added effect to your, I would say, the curriculum vitae for that matter. But yes, they know you by your work, and I feel that I came to know through my work because I had a background of it. So it definitely has something to do with it. I would not say that's what we say, that whatever we learn and whatever we do not learn never goes unwasted, misspent in any manner. I hope I was
Well,
able to satisfy you on this point.
yeah, true, ma'am. You have provided a great insight to us. We thought that grades don't really matter in the long run, but you provide a different aspect to it altogether.
Yes.
Ma'am, my next question will be based upon that you just quoted that, yeah, in the beginning of your career, a lot of things were thrown upon you, like from different fields of
Okay.
law. Then what made you
Right.
specifically choose this one, like this criminal law?
Okay. So when we talk about criminal law, I was very inquisitive about studying the criminal law. I had this, something in my mind which, pushes me towards the investigations. Okay. So coming back to that point, that the firm that I joined previously, I was working with a firm wherein I was promoted as a partner though. In that firm, it was basically specializing in criminal law only. So there comes a moment, what has happened to me was that firm used to deal with a lot of police station matters. Okay. So there comes a chance wherein our seniors, the senior members, they were given an opportunity to get the register, to assist the clients in getting the FIRs registered for a lot of matters. So I used to always feel, because this is a field where I feel that females are little hesitant to come forward, thinking that it brings some problems with it. Although I don't find one in that, because I was the one who used to enjoy criminal law. Reason being that not because of the elements that constitutes a substantive law, but because of the procedural, the complexity that has been involved in the procedure itself. As I would say, the point out, basically the procedure that we are working at, and the problems that we face in the particular the jurisdiction that I'm handing on. Okay, I will give you one example. The moment there is a dismissal of an indictment, say I meant is like there's a dismissal of a charge, or you say that acquisition of a charge, it brings out a new fine turnout in a law. So what has happened to me, I gave a proposal to my senior, my boss, my managing partner, of course, in the previous firm, that why this opportunity has always been given to the male members of getting this FIR registered. So I came across one of the proposal wherein all our male members were traveling, because I used to travel a lot in my previous firm. All my male members are traveling, so we got 3-4 FIRs, which we uh, which we had to assist our client in getting that registered somewhere in Maharashtra. Okay, so of, of course there is a language problem in Marathi there. So I gave up on my boss, that gave a proposal to him basically, that I really want to go for this and get this FIR registered. He said that I totally trust on you, but there was some hesitation in me that probably I would be able to go through this or not. But I would definitely tell you, with the kind of experience that I had there, on the very first day, there were 3 issues in line. I got all the 3 FIRs registered in some rural areas in Maharashtra, say about Patka. On the very same day, I was there at the police station convincing the police officials on the matter, on the subjectivity, on the analytical reasoning behind this, because I did the investigation on that part myself, and luckily we were able to bring the culprits to books. So that's how it made myself, it gave me an inspiration that, criminal law is not meant for the male section. Of course, the female can come forward. And I was very inquisitive, in knowing the background behind it. Like, if we compare it to the other laws, criminal law is more comprehensive. It is complex, but involves a lot of things which makes you inquisitive and interesting to get on with.
That's truly nice, ma'am. Like you practically explained the things. That was great.
Yeah.
Even we are now more interested towards the criminal litigation now.
No,
So,
definitely you should. I would definitely help you on this.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. And thank you for being kind to us.
No, definitely. What are colleagues for?
My question to you is, you being a female associate, did you ever face gender biasness in the field?
When it comes to me, as I say, never ever, because just an incident I just told you about it, because I had an experience of working late at night, like till 3 a.m. I had worked on myself. Even I had stayed at the police stations for like good number of hours. So I would not say, see, biasness only comes in when you are not given an opportunity. I see it is there in the system and somehow, but it only relates to the opportunities that have been given to the males amongst the females. But I know that the way the females are coming forward and they are putting their interest on this field and on the subject matter, this is really going away now. So I don't feel that biasness is really there now, because there have been a lot of eminent judges who are females. They speak so well, their understanding on the subject at times are much better than the other genders. So I would not say that biasness still exists. And if talking about my experience, I had never had that experience of feeling the biasness, because likewise I said that there have been lots and lots and lots of opportunities that have been given to me, and that's how I could see myself on today standing, working on my own firm, setting it up. Because if I would point out my partner, he himself is very much senior to me. He has an experience of double to what I have, but still he was ready to join hands with me, basis my experience only, basis my opportunities only. Otherwise, who would like to give an opportunity to a female? He himself is a male, but he posed all his trust on me. So when it comes to biasness, it's so not doesn't fall in my place at least.
It's nice to hear this, man. We really talked about a lot of things, like how was your journey, how things happened in the past. Now the question is based on the present. Then that in the wake of COVID-19, what is the problem that is being faced by the lawyers nowadays?
Okay. Uh, Although financial turmoil or economy is something that everybody is being facing these days, so I would not say that this is something. This has been a really a very big issue to talk about, because I would say that the moment the post COVID-19, the situation would not be the same as it is being shown today, because now after the resumption of the social and the economic orders, right, there would be a lot of burdens on the lawyers, right? And the main thing that they have to focus is on the quality of the work, or the quality of the services that they would be offering to the clients. Okay, like if we talk about the COVID-19, the lawyers are being suffering because I would say that the lawyer, each and every class of lawyers exist in this field, right? So with this COVID-19, a lot of the opportunities have not been given to the lawyers. Reason being is that because basically, if we talk about the urgent matters, that had already been given to the top-notch lawyers and the top-notch clients who are handling a good client relationship these days. And the juniors who have just started their journey are not even able to made out any of their expenses also. Not aside that, not about their expenses only, a lot of the lawyers are not even tech free. So coming forward and using those techniques and utilizing this period for earning money has not been a problem. Not only that, if we talk about the lawyers, the people who have just passed out this year, or who are in the process of completing their law this year, what about them? They would not be able to enroll themselves for a pretty long time. They will not be able to they will not be able to nurture this process coming forward by getting into this field. It would all be laid back. uh, Litigants, with litigation, I would say that the lawyers would have been able to survive pretty much, not the junior ones, not the very new ones, not the ones who were not able to get matters due to the urgency, because urgency also has a very different definition. Because what lawyer might think urgency would be might not appeal to the judge that there is an urgency, so they would not be getting a chance to come forward and contest, fight for their a litigant, or express their help them out in getting the justice. So the problem here is not with the litigation lawyers, but also with the corporates, because now, right, now they have been struggling with all the disputes and the contract management, the challenges, and all this is there. But the moment the post COVID-19 would be there, the lawyers as well as the litigating lawyers would be working on those disputes and the contract problems. So it is again would be more challenging. So apart from the financial turmoil and the exigencies, this has already affect the new generation lawyers or middle-aged lawyers a lot. Although a lot of senior advocates have been definitely benefited from it due to their experience and the expertise in this field, because they have been doing it for a really long while. So most of them have not been given a chance. So they were not even able to raise a single penny out of it. So financial turmoil is a very big thing. And for that matter, one more thing I would like to add on to this, even the lawyers who had recently joined the firms, they were also not able to get any exposures due to the lack of opportunities that have been given to them. So this entire 6 months would be like shaded away until and unless they would have been given an opportunity to learn or research on something.
So yeah, young generation lawyers have been suffering more in this COVID-19 situation.
Right, yeah. Because there was one of the lawyers also. He's a although he was quite good in age, but he was just, because if you would look at the litigation, the lawyers do not, the fresh ones or the young ones do not earn that much. Okay, basically they get 5,000, 10,000 rupees per month. Once they enter into the litigation. I'm not talking about the corporate ones. They were not even able to get that, right? Yes, yeah. And even the lawyers who just enter this field, they get that habit, we will not be taking anything from our parents now. Now we are on our foot. What about them? How would they be surviving now? It definitely gives some kind of declination to them or discouragement to them. They might be twisting about this field of law also now.
Thanks for giving such an honest opinion, ma'am.
Okay, so now my question is has the use of technology helped in resolving the issue? Is conducting online hearings a better alternative to the traditional court system? Like the court has been shifted to the online hearings. So is it a better option?
See, I would say, like when we talk about the virtual courts, I would say that virtual courts cannot displace the online system. But yes, during this pandemic, it has definitely been a substitute to the virtual courts. So, see, coming forward, see, it brings in a lot of problems with them. So my answer to this would be in affirmative, in as well as in negative. Reason being that affirmative, like if we use the technology in a long run, okay, we have to. It will bring a lot of things with them. Like there would be transparency in the system. People would get more justice. There would be accountability. There would be intelligence involved in that, and it would be a cheaper process for a lot of litigants also. They do not have to spend a lot of money on other things, but that can only be done only and only because there have been a lot of lawyers who are not even aware how to use the technology. So before that, we have to make a lot of homework. We have to impart trainings to the lawyers as to how they should work on the technology, how to use the technologies. Not limiting to that, how to use the technology. There have been a lot of lawyers who cannot afford these technologies because if you would look at the ratio, only 52% use the online systems, and out of 25% people are having the Android phones. Not everybody have the access to these technological systems. So you simultaneously also have to aid those lawyers also with the technology. So it will not only involve a lot of financial burden, but yes, it will include a lot of efforts. But considering the present scenario, although it has helped a lot of things, because if the video conferencing would not have been there, many people would not have been able to get justice. So the idea here is to give justice to everyone, to include justice, not to exclude justice. So if we would just focus on virtual courts at the current scenario, we would be able to miss out on a lot of the qualities that we are ignoring at the present scenario. So the because I would feel that physical court or the physical courts is like a spine of our constitution. So it cannot in any way at any circumstances be ignored. it, so I would say the virtual courts cannot displace the physical courts, but yes, it can act as a substitute. So before bringing that into a permanent system, we have to work a lot on these problems that have been arising around. And one more thing that I would also, I hope you might, who are already an intelligent young lawyers, you might be aware about this. But a lot of courts have set up this system. And now they're bringing out the e-filing at least, so that the people don't have to waste a lot of time on getting those filing done. At least that time can be waived off. So before that also, there would be a lot of trainings that would be given to all the lawyers, and in collaboration with that, I think bar and bench are helping on many lawyers to get through that. And even the judges are also giving a lot of advice on to the lawyers as to how the e-filing system would be done. So it would be a one way to go forward, but there's lots to do before actually getting into the online course.
Okay, so what I have got it is that virtual courts cannot replace the traditional court system
Yes.
because there is we are lagging behind in various reasons because of various
Lot of
reasons
failures,
like
yeah.
technology.
We don't
Yeah.
have to look the one section of lawyers. We have to look aside all of the people. We need to make a system likewise, because in a current scenario, like in a courtroom, public have the access to it. So even in the online system, a provision should be brought in where the public whose matters are being taken care of can have access to those systems, which is lacking currently. Because the ID or that thing are only given to the lawyers as well as their colleagues. Public cannot have the access to that virtual video conferencing. Although during the pandemic, it has been very helpful and very great.
That's a great answer, ma'am. Ma'am, now one question is there that every budding lawyer would love to hear from you, that how to be a better litigator.
Mother, there's some problem with your voice.
Am I audible now?
I'm really sorry, but I was not able to. You were not audible actually.
Now am I audible?
Yeah, it's there. Tell.
Ma'am, the one question that fascinates every law individual, like every budding lawyers, that is how to be a better litigator.
Okay. So you want to know what are the qualities basically you need to become a better litigator? From my experience, I feel there are lot many things that add to it. First and foremost thing is that you need to have really good communication skills. By communication skills, I don't mean that you really need to be very fluent in English when you talk about the communication skills. Communication skills here means because there are a lot of lawyers who argue specifically in the lower level courts, at the district level, at the trial courts, or the high court, because in high courts the English is the language that you are supposed to speak in courts. There have been a lot of lawyers, the way they communicate, the way they present their case, add lots more to it. So apart from the good communication skill is like, I would say that moment you draft something, your drafting skills, the moment you draft something, whatever you are actually drafting, you are presenting that as it is. Although apart from the drafting, it includes, there has to be an analytical skills. By analytical skills, I would mean that there has to be a logical reasoning while you are presenting your case or while you are litigating a matter. Although we generally do in our regular exercises also, that logical reasoning have we carefully do, because the way we are taking care of cases, the way we are coming on to the decision making, and then how do you take a case on it, how do you try to solve a problem. Apart from the analytical skill, good communication skill, another comes the point is the perseverance. There is perseverance. So there has to be a persistence in a person. Like we feel that this is really hard. We cannot go through it. We cannot get into it. We cannot bring the things in place. So we really need to be persistent about something that it is not that difficult. In case if we know the subject, what is it about, if we have an understanding on this subject, I think we can very easily get through it. About the perseverance, because a lot of lawyers, they know about the subject, but the moment they approach the court, they feel hesitant in speaking about a lot of things, although they know what is there in head, but they get nervous. That should not be there. You should know what is there in your head. Understanding of the subject is very important. Apart from that, I would also would like to point out research skills. Research skills add a lot of advantage to it. I have seen mostly young lawyers, um, they don't like to do research because they feel that it's a very lethargic or something. Because I tend to give a lot of research work to my interns, even to my juniors. So what they used to do is, the moment they are researching on something, they used to sleep, because they find it very tedious and tiring, something not to focus on. But I would definitely say that your research skills adds lot and lots to your case performance. Reason being is because each and every case depends on your what you are presenting. So there could be a story to it. Okay, I might approach a court considering that this is the procedure, this has happened, and there is no new law on it. I might not be aware about it, but we suddenly come across a circumstances where on a similar situation, one of the judges have given a different opinion, but that alongside was reversed by another judges, which would might be in my favor. And just a click of that research, and just by a click of that research, we come on to one of the judgments, some appropriate judgments, some highlighting judgments, and we are just there. We can just track the case. Most of the judges just need the judgment on the point, and there you crack it. So it involves your research skill, your creativity, your analytical skills, people skills. People skills, by people skill, I would mean your patience, your active involvement on the subject, so on and so
You want to
Okay,
like
so
say?
your insights would definitely help the budding lawyers like us for sure, and we would be
Definitely.
definitely working on these areas.
Yeah, sure.
So, ma'am, my question to you is, you have not been an NLU student. So, did you face any hurdles because of this? Because most of the top-notch law firms uh, do recruit the NLU students. They go for NLU students rather than the non-NLU students. So, what would you
Uh,
say on it?
I would say that okay. the theory that you have just mentioned, that most law firms focuses on the NLU students rather than on the non-LU students. I would say that now there is a little twist on this theory. Reason being is now a lot of universities and a lot of colleges who are private institutions, although are associated, or recognized by the Bar Council, of course, have really raised their bar, which is on equal match with the NLU students. So if you would just if you would just talk about the litigation, NLU has no relevance to it. Okay, it's just your work that has an relevance to it. That for entry perspective at the corporate firms, if you really want to get into the corporate line, that might be a little advantage to it, but just focusing on the NLU students are no more a theory that exists as of now, because I see, in comparison to the NLU students, there have been a lot of colleges, a lot of universities whose students are coming forward. Their intellectuality are on the same pace, so it is just the name. So now also the name also, I would feel, is not on the limelight. I cracked my NLU, but I never wanted to go to NLU. Reason being is that my parents were not okay in sending me Delhi, and I never wanted to leave my parents. So I would not say that my parents were very hassle on throwing upon me something which I was not willing to. Even I never wanted to go out of Delhi, because the moment I joined the colleges at that point of time, the NLU Delhi was not in existence. But the theory that you are talking about is is really a myth. It's not in existence as of now. People actually, now the law firms actually look at your experience, look at your intelligence, and even the lot of other colleges and institutions have been given an opportunity over and above NLU students. So although NLU has its name, so definitely people get an advantage, but it doesn't mean that other institution students, other college institutions are being ignored for that sake.
Ma'am, my next question to you will be, uh, participating in extracurricular activities in law school, like mooting, debating, what is the impact of that in the career?
When it comes to law schools, okay, while I was in college, moot courts were there. Apart from the moot courts, there were not much opportunities that were given to the students. But with the time and with the pace, now they have opened up to a lot of things. There have been a lot of debates, a lot of presentations. Lawyer have been given. They are, making you prepare for the practical system outside the world, apart from your theoretical system. So it definitely adds to it. And I feel that the people who are actually interested in going for litigation, they should not leave a single chance to be a part of any moot court society. And with the debates, presentations, and the conferences, it not only gives you the exposures, but it also gives you a self-confidence in you, which is definitely required while you are, representing a case before a court. And it boosts up your confidence as well as your knowledge about the subject. And I feel with this you'll be almost 50 to 60% prepared the moment you will enter litigation. And the definitely you people would like to recruit you as a very part of them, or their associations, chambers, or whatever.
Okay, so in conclusion, can we conclude that as like academics and extracurricular activities plays equal role in setting up a good career?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, ma'am. The next question to you will be, uh, that is not actually a question. What will be your appeal to the budding lawyers who are still in the law school?
Likewise, I just said that first and foremost thing, they need to be a little sure about that right after completing the college, what they actually want to do. Because a lot of people tend to confuse themselves that, like, we wanted to go in corporate line, or we want to go in litigation, and then there comes a point that people are unsure, because the corporate firms definitely offer you good pays, large pay scales, which are really, exciting to the young lawyers, because they feel that now they are set up and good to go with their lifestyle and can earn good amount of money. Although corporate line is something that can interest a lot of lawyers, but when we come to litigation, and if somebody is really want to go for litigation, the first and the foremost thing that person should get into his mind is that you would not get a very good pay initially, but yes, with your name and with your work, with your dedication, you will reach that sky which at that situation your likely colleague or your likely friend or person would not be at. So it doesn't have a money initially, but it would eventually have a money later on. Apart from that, when we talk about the litigation, is that when we talk about litigation, because since it's my forte, I would definitely like to focus on that. Although I have done various corporate litigation matters, is you should know how to be patient in courts. You should quite be attentive when once you are going for a hearing. You need to be first and foremost punctual about it. Lot of lawyers are not even punctual while they are going on a hearing. They're not even aware what is the cost list, when our matter is gonna reach, when is something gonna happen. We also need to know the mood of the judge, like in what mood he is, and how he has been on these subjects. Like if I'm appearing before one of the judges, and I know that he's a master on that subject, or he would understand my case with the judgment itself. So I should more focus on the judgment than on talking about the merits of the case, or then running on the facts of the case. Then comes the point is drafting definitely plays a very important role. I would say that drafting skills really needs to be excellent while preparing your case, because that's the base of your case. If you do not have a good draft, same comes for the corporates as well. As the moment you prepare an agreement, or the moment you prepare a contract for that matter, most of the clients, I would say, feel that why should we spend a lot of money on the agreements or for the contract purpose. But they tend to forget that the reason of the um, rise in the cases towards the clients comes because they have a lack in their contract. The most important and the technical points are missing. So the drafting is something that we really need to focus on. Then comes your speaking skills, your communication skills. Then and the moment you are working in a team, teamwork is very important. You should treat your co-workers as your family itself, because it's not just ki we make our juniors or co-workers learn something. They also make us learn a lot of things. My interns, my juniors tend to tell me each and every new aspect every day. So it gives a lot of inspiration to me, a lot of learning to me. It's not just said that, okay, now we have stepped out of the college, we should know each and everything. Even after 50 years of your career in law, you'll be learning something new. I keep on learning every day something new. One more thing that could be good, like it definitely comes to an academic. Your awareness towards the environment plays a very important role. Very important means very important. You should know what is going on aside your around. I am very sure that the people with the young lawyers, they are already very smart enough. The way they are coming forward, they would be knowing much more than we are knowing today. And I feel that with the time, with the pace, with the association, with the with their lawyers, with their team workers, they should know that we need to listen them. So listening skills should also be there. Little more patient, not arguing on something. This and when it comes to litigation, a lawyer should also tend to focus on its expenses. He should try to maintain a balance in whatever he's getting, because it would not say today you are getting 10, so the next month also you would be getting 10,000 rupees only. There might be an escalation basis your performance, and with the appreciation and with the kind of dedication and hard work that you put along, uh, you would be great and capable enough to take up your cases all along, and you can earn a very good money apart from the salary and remuneration that you would be offered by your seniors. So Like that's just bits and pieces that one should know. It's not that very hard. One should not feel that we are stepping in a world which is very hard. It is very easy, very smooth. The industry, the colleagues and lawyers are very helpful. They tend to help all the lawyers, all the colleagues, and especially the young ones who are just stepping out of the colleges. So there should not be hesitation in asking anything from anybody. Even you can ask a judge about your case also, because there have been lawyers who teaches judges also, this has been happening, no sir, this would be this way. So judges also appreciate that conduct. And likewise, judge, if you are facing some problem, you can ask the judge, okay sir, what would be the issue on this? And judges would never say no to, of course, a young lawyer. So it's a very smooth, enjoying field, and we should enjoy each and every fruits. And a female should not hesitate in working on a criminal aspect, definitely.
Thanks
Anything
for
else that I
showing.
can share out?
Thanks for
We are
showing
very
this
thankful to
positive
you.
side.
We are very thankful to you, ma'am,
No,
for
I'm
joining us.
thankful to you for giving me the opportunity to talking such young lawyers who are coming forward with this such an intensity of bringing this website, because it inspired me a lot. Well, this is genuinely a way forward, and I think through this interaction, it is definitely gonna help a lot of people who are not even aware what is happening on the other side. So it's an excellent effort from your end, your team, and everything. And I really wish all the best to you in a way forward. And I would be happy to help you in any manner that I can.
Thanks a lot for your kind support, ma'am. We really thank you a lot from the core of our heart for being so kind to us and to provide the insights to us. So it
Definitely.
was
Thank you so much. I feel the same for you both as well as for your team.